Hi guys, my name is Oliver Janich. I'm a best-selling libertarian author in Germany. My latest book in English, or first book in English, is called New World Order Exposed. You can check it out. The reason why I'm doing this video is I attended an Acapulco and unfortunately I couldn't attend the discussion between Lauren Southern and Larken Rose, but I was given the informations about it, and now I'm seeing that Larken and others are making fun of Lauren Southern, which was the discussion partner, because she was controlled at the border and thrown out of the country. The problem is, I was given information, as I said, about this discussion, and the problem obviously was that she debated Larken on practical grounds and not on theoretical grounds, because Larken is not only wrong on practical grounds, but also on theoretical grounds. Sorry for my English, it's not my native language. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. So the argument goes that every human being is free to go anywhere, and these artificial borders should not hinder any human being from entering another place or area. But this argument is interesting, but it's not libertarian and it's not anarchist. It's not based on logic. I can prove it easily. So, what is the state supposed to do? He's supposed to protect the people from infringements on property and the life of the people. So, the government pretends to protect people from getting hurt or getting robbed. So, if you have a state, the state has to do that. We as anarchists know they fail on that, but that does not mean that the government should do that. First of all, if you have a welfare state and let everybody in without controls, and especially people who don't speak the language, who are analphabets in their own language, have bad education, low IQ, then it's totally sure that they will go into the welfare state, the welfare system, meaning they rob the people who already live there from their property. So it's stealing from the people. So it's an infringement on property rights to let everybody in, because once he is in, all other people have to pay for them. Secondly, all or most streets in a state are public. So you cannot avoid as a citizen to go on a public street. Even Larken Rose uses public streets and calls the police if he's robbed. So, given that, it means if you let everybody in with open borders, the crime rate increases and you can't avoid being a victim of such a perpetrator. So the crime statistics rise, more violent crimes. In Germany, the immigrants are 15 times more likely to commit a violent crime or a sex crime. 15 times according to the German FBI, it's called BK. So, that should be very easy to understand. The counter-argument of Larken is, oh, you go to the government to help you. Yeah, but you have to. You can't avoid it. You are forced to live in a state because there are only states right now, unfortunately. So, you can't argue that it would be good to have open borders. On that reasoning, let's take a look how a private law society would handle that, meaning anarchy. In a private law society, you have more borders, not less. Because, for example, here you have a gated community. You cannot go into a gated community without being controlled. You need an invitation, for example. And of course, a gated community would do background checks on the people who want to buy or rent in the gated community. So if you are out of a very violent group, they wouldn't let you in. And maybe they decide this kind of population is dangerous, but we could handle it, then the insurance rates would be much higher. Meaning that, for example, you have a house with several condos in it. The insurance company would say if it's half full of African migrants or from some country where the crime rates are higher, then the insurance company would say, yeah, you have to pay much higher rates. What would the owner do of the house? He would try to get rid of the bad risks. He would say, no, I only let people in who have a lower chance of getting violent. So what happens in a private law society? It's getting more and more civilized. That's the process in a private law society. But it does not mean, private law society does not mean that you can enter any place or that you can go wherever you want. So now making fun of Lawrence Southern because she was controlled is unfair and wrong, because it was good that there is a border control, but she should have get in, or should have been allowed to get in, because she is not a threat. They let thousands of Islamists in the country, thousands of people who have a high risk. They should be stopped, but not her, because she is obviously not a risk, because she is a libertarian, by the way. And she argues only or as I heard, on emotional, on practical grounds, because she says, yeah, what do we do now with the situation? That's also an issue. But the basic issue here is that Larken Rose is wrong based on logic and facts. He's not only wrong on practical grounds. And in addition to that, his point of view is highly immoral. Because if you open the borders for everybody, the number of rapes increase. Thousands of rapes now in Great Britain revealed in the newspapers because of the immigration. So what he says is not only illogical, it's highly immoral. And then, if I'm wrong on something, making fun of somebody who is controlled at the border, I don't know the correct English word for that. But he does the same as any liberal does. If he has no arguments, he goes ad hominem. I heard that she was called, not by him, but indirectly and by other people at the discussion at Acapulco, a racist. So that's always the card of liberals when they lack arguments. So, and I would, of course, be ready to discuss it with Larken Rose on my YouTube channel. Of course, my English is not as good as his, so I would have a disadvantage. But there we would have more time. Here I only have a few minutes. So, but I would very much like to discuss it with him. I think he is bored of that, because it was already announced moo borders. I think he was never debated on a logical ground. And when you talk about society or politics, it should be on logical grounds and not on emotions. Emotions are a fine thing. I liked his speech he gave about psychopaths, comparing it with the government, and I liked the speech of his partner, I think, I forgot her name, on the other topic. So Larken Rose is right on many things and does many interesting things and writes interesting things. But on that, he's terribly wrong. I'm sorry. Bye.